Now we have come to the last session of this conference, last but not the least. We have Mr. G. Sunderraman, who received this Harsha Award yesterday, to be with us. May I request you to be on the dais, sir. I will just introduce Mr. Sunderraman is an electrical engineering graduate from IIT Madras 1976 batch and a postgraduate from IIM Ahmedabad 1980 batch. He has learned the essentials of quality from legendary quality exponent Dr. Deming and expert from Japan through JUSE programs. He began his career with Godrej Group in 1980 in the marketing field. And yesterday when I was discussing with him, he has moved from marketing to operations and then to his current level as Executive Vice President Corporate Development with Godrej and Boyce Manufacturing Company. And he led the breakthrough for the bottom of the pyramid with Chotu Cool, an affordable solid-state cooling solution with a low carbon footprint and no greenhouse gas, primarily focused on the basic preservation needs of the larger populace of India. He is actively involved in several nationwide initiatives of the CII. He has been a keynote speaker in several seminars and conferences over the last 3 decades and is a visiting faculty in many management institutes. He has been closely associated with the Professor Shoji Shiba and, as we explained yesterday, world-renowned expert in quality and breakthrough in developing visionary leaders for manufacturing program, modeled on the globally recognized leadership for manufacturing program in MIT.
Thank you very much for a very kind introduction. And it's actually a challenge when you have lunch waiting for you and the last speaker is here to share something. So I will probably take a slightly different course of my presentation and hopefully you will at least have an enjoyable lunch, if not a very interesting presentation. So let me switch to my talk. I'm going to be talking about the quality and breakthrough in the experience economy in the digital era. A lot of speakers have already talked today about it, so I'll try to take a slightly different course on what I'm going to share about that. But before that, let me thank Professor Shoji Shiba, and I always thank him and I always bow to him in any place, anywhere that I talk, because he has transformed my life. Transformation of life is something that you can learn only from Professor Shiba. However, for this presentation, I'm deeply indebted to late Professor C.K. Prahalad, Professor Ramaswamy, and Professor Fujimoto, whose glimpses you will see. Of course, you're not going to have a 10 hours of lecture of these things. I'm going to probably mention about them and say what is their thinking, which is actually influencing the quality management today. It will be criminal if I don't thank Godrej and the Confederation of Indian Industry, whose umbrella I have used for the last almost 35 years to learn. And of course, the program on VLFM supported by JICA. So that is the basis of my talk. So let me start talking about the topic today. And the theme today is the quality and digitization for sustainability and innovation. And digitization is gaining a much larger meaning, as you have noticed today with a lot of speakers. It's not a tactical initiative in the larger quality or the business excellence drive. It is the bedrock of transformation of the socio-economic context for the next several decades. It's not just going to be a few years, it's going to be for several decades that it's going to change that, right? You looked at logistics today, excellent presentation. What I saw in that was not anything to do with materials or anything, but you all talked about only information that moved into it. Logistics once upon a time was material. Today is all about information and how we're going to manage it. Look at the notes and the currencies and the rupee. It all was rupees and the currencies and the dollars and all. Today it's all about information that is creating the transfer of this. And you look at everything, whether it is movie, which is news, whether it is music, whether it is photography, everywhere it is the transformation on the digital that's fundamentally changing the way that we try to look at that. That is what we are riding. Question is, how is that going to make a difference to quality and how do we change our way of understanding the thing? So therefore, digital is not an element to be appended to what we know about quality. It is changing the fundamental way, the perception and the perspective on quality and understanding of the quality. Let me share only 2 or 3 facets of it as we have less. I would like to very briefly take you on to 3 parts of it. What is quality in this experience economy? I'll show you to you in a minute what is experience and how is that economy working. I'll share a very little bit on the quality as an integration of information flow. As you saw, currency is information flow. As you saw, logistics is information flow. As you saw, so many other things as information flow. There is a way to look at quality as just information flow. And how are we going to understand that larger information flow? And finally, there's always a contradiction. Everybody yesterday and today said, you have to have a breakthrough, you have to have innovation, and people begin to look at it that, okay, that is something which is breakthrough, this is something which is consistency, repeatability, daily work management. How are we going to see a connection between this dichotomy? These are the three things that I'll do it. I will use a mode which is less of a PowerPoint and more of videos. So allow me a little bit of a break in between. I'm not able to put up all my gadgets that I can go smoothly, but we'll try and do that. Okay, let me show you the quality as an experience, and then you'll try to understand what I mean by this thing, okay? Yep.
Just great balance. Virat Kohli is showing the way. That's how you do it.
Kuldeep Yadav finally gets a wicket, and it's the wrong one.
Again the toe end of the bat. We've seen toe end of the bat clear the boundary line easily. Excellent judgment here. Like Sanjay said, moved backwards, got very close to the boundary cushions. Then he knew he could make the adjustment. Top class delivery.
Round the wicket to hold up. Question asked.
Let's look at another one.
I would like to introduce to you now one of the newest members in our band. His name is Ramon Stagnaro. He is from Peru and he plays the guitar.
Welcome to our vision for a highly automated car and its unique driving experience. Although it looks like your common everyday car, a host of smart new features ensures that driving is no longer a chore. It helps to reduce the load on the driver by taking care of highway driving. Philip, a young professional, has been using his route. With this, Philip has a clear picture of where automation is available. He can access additional features with aid. After entering the highway, the drive state indicator communicates to Philip that automation is available. Also, two special buttons on the steering wheel start glowing. As Philip presses them simultaneously for 3 seconds, the car switches to automated mode. Philip can now confidently take his hands off the wheel. But with the new car, Philip can be productive.
Lot of it you've already seen, lot of it you've experienced. Let me get back to say, what do we understand? How do we connect up these things into this experience economy? Are these products? Are these services? Are these solutions? Some gist of it is there, but that's not what it is. It's not clear. These are yet quality, these are yet excellence, and we experience it. That is what experience economy is. This is the way that we try to understand quality. Quality has transformed into an experience. It's all that we are talking about. How do you experience it? And therefore, what is it? And how do we try to understand? In the industrial age, we understood quality as something that we deliver. Oh, we are the production people, we have a supply chain, we have marketing and the sales and the service wing. Oh, we do something, and there is one passive recipient called customer. And we say, we are customer oriented, we treat that person as a dumb person who doesn't do anything. Today's world is very different. It is connected involved, informed, and the customers are dramatically changing because of that. They bring a lot into these actions. They bring a lot into these interactions. And if their part is not included into this, we cannot provide excellence. We cannot create quality. How do we do this? And that is where we need to understand that in the old quality word, I observe and I convert everything into fact and say it's 4W1H. That's not true. When the customer says, customer is involved, customer is into the environment, customer is in. The customer says, I accept the emotions. You cannot eliminate the emotions. And the world of the future, when everything is taken care of by the machines, is going to be ruled by the emotions. And we need to win those emotions, and that is the way that we really look at it. So therefore, if you understand the quality in the experience economy, it's not product services, it's not value delivery, it's not controls and supply chains, it's not a design, configure and build, but it is basically what experience the customer has, what experience is created in this interaction space, and how is this environment managed, and how is it that I can design an environment? How can I design an interaction? How can I create a platform that allows the customers to play? We are only creating a platform. The quality is going to be created by the customers themselves. And therefore, quality and customer satisfaction are always co-created in the world that we look at it. If the customers don't engage, there is no quality. No matter what you do, but if the customers don't engage, customers don't interact, customers don't get involved, there is no quality. And that is basically the first change in the understanding of what the information age can do to the quality and how the quality kind of change. Look at a hotel like that. Are you going to be looking at the process here? Are you going to be looking at the steps? Are you going to look at the SOP? In 2 minutes as you enter a hotel, you understand what is the experience that you're going to get that, and it's all put together, it comes out. In order to do those 2 minutes, you might have to spend 20 years, but at the end of the day, the customer gets it in just the 2 minutes, and that's what the experience economy is. Okay, let me move on therefore to say, how do we create that? Okay, a lot of frameworks have been given. I want to skip this. I'm not going to give you framework. There are these frameworks. Professor C.K. Prahlad created a lot of them, and Professor Ramaswamy. Maybe you can look it up. I'm not here to tell you what frameworks work. I'm telling you just how to think about it so that you can pick up all those frameworks and you can do that. So therefore, this deeply established understanding of quality as driven by process transforms to creating a holistic experience environment for people. Environment was one factor of control in the process in the olden domain. Environment is the center of the future in how the quality is experienced. And technology and IT will play a significant role as we say. Let's try and understand the second facet, how the technology will play and how do we look at quality as an information flow. Let me again show you, because that's the best way to give you an experience of how we look at it. Let me just show you a very simple one that you'll probably understand. You understand that it's a sheet metal getting bent with a huge tool and all of these things. I see something different. That particular sheet, when it is bent, carries the information of the latent need of the customer for safety. It is designed for safety, it is designed for aesthetics, it is designed for its durability, it is designed for everything including the manufacturing. Can you understand that one stroke of that press is transferring so much of customers' information into that one piece? That is quality. And that is the information flow that we try to look at it. But let me give you something which is more interesting that you can see how kind of we can look at the quality in another way. Let me see that. Whether I can get that. I'm trying to play a few videos before lunch so that you can enjoy your lunch better rather than my talk. This is the transformation of information into the object. The pieces that they've cut are simple sheet metal. The white and the black paint that has put, simple people have put all of these things, put the pillars, put the things there. Do you see transformation of information that creates that quality? That's what it is about. Well, we can be extremely sophisticated, but it is also possible to be simple. If India doesn't look at the simplicity of all this thing, it's going to be finding it difficult to make it an inclusive growth, and that's what we want out here. But having seen all that thing, let me take you to its extreme of how we can understand quality. You understand that what I'm talking about is the transfer of information. It has become now a part of the people. That is when you will have excellence, which is not driven by process, it is not driven by anything, it is driven by people. That's the excellence we are talking about. Very interestingly, it was put that there will be one dog and one person. The question is, what will be the other billions of people do at that time when you need only one dog and one person in the factory? This is what they will do. They will be involved into creative, and they'll be involved into empowerment of this nature, which creates the fun, which creates the enjoyment, which creates the life for the people. So as machines take over a lot of things, as intelligence takes over a lot of things, the field that is left for us is this, back again the fundamentals of quality, of transferring that quality into the skills of people, embedding it and making it a part of their life is the way that we try to understand the quality. Okay, let me again go back to this. So whether it is the stamping, whether it's the sculpture of Gandhi, or whether it's the skipping record by a team of girls, basically quality as a design intent is realized through a design information flow. Complicated stuff at this point in time of the day. I don't want to give you a complication, but what we are talking about is not the information of the quantity requirement of the customer, but it is the latent requirement of the customers that goes through the entire supply chain of the design intent into the process, and that's what is going to be revolutionized by the information age. Today it is all being looked at as separate pieces. I see over a period of time all of these integrated into a single flow and a single capability building. It merges into this thing. The Japanese word monozukuri in some sense connotes this meaning. It's not exactly the same meaning, but when you say monozukuri, it is not production. Monozukuri is not only the manufacturing. Monozukuri is much larger, and this is what Professor Shiba calls as the big M, and this is all focused on users. Let me take you therefore that in this flow of information, digitization is going to play a critical role of transferring such latent requirements right into the process and environment, and therefore can we identify the information, can we embed it into the larger process and the context, technologies like IoT, robotics, automation. You have heard a lot of people talk about it, so I don't want to repeat all of that, but that's what is going to happen. That's my second contention. Let me get on to the last part of it, which is the third part, the quality and the breakthrough innovation as a continuum in the kind of a VUCA world that we're calling about, which is the volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous world. We all gone through the COVID part of it. The 10x change in a matter of 2 months to 3 months has happened. Everyone has experienced. But this 10x change is not only because of VUCA. It happened many times, whether you look at the Amazon's growth, or whether you look at the Skype, or whether you look at the WhatsApp, or you look at any one of these things, it has been 10x, and 10x is a way to live, and 10x is the way of life. Look at particularly the Kodak, and I think people had talked about it yesterday onto that. They were the pioneers of digital the cameras. They invented photography. They invented solid number of, I had a video, but I don't want to play it because we are running late. But they're the largest number of innovations on the photography that they created. and they were great people, and they were in the top of the world. I think Janak knows that. We went to Kodak in our, the quality mission in the 1989, and it was termed to be one of the greatest companies on quality revolution. But sadly, they had to wind up. And the reason was there was a small innovation happened in Kodak by the Kodak people, but they could not revolutionize it, they cannot leverage it, and that's a digital photography change. It didn't change the looks of the camera initially, it changed the way that the photography was done. And then there was another one, which is a very small revolution, which was called a cell phone. And when they combined together, you had an industry revolution, and this is going to happen. And are we ready? How in the quality domain can we be ready for it? How in the quality paradigm we are going to be able to face such challenges? This is very important. And this is exactly what Professor Shiba says, that the continuous improvement will come to a point at which it will not anymore be valid, and you need to really look at the breakthrough. Once upon a time, such breakthroughs used to happen once in 10 years, once in 15 years. The clock speed has happened. These breakthroughs have to happen so regularly in the business that you'll have to look at all these three things together. You look at it very carefully. You will have to manage your continuous improvement to be competitive. You have to manage your breakthrough in order to get out of it. But in the process, your business is going to decline. The one that is giving you today's cash, you need to manage the controls. And this is basically the concept of the 3 eyes of Buddha, that you have to focus on your continuous improvement, focus onto the breakthrough, and focus also on the control together all the time, all 3 eyes. And that's what Professor Shoji Shiba says is the 3 eyes of Buddha, and which is the symbol of what VLFM has been, right? You look at the ambassador car to the change to a Maruti car and today's revolution. It's a small change in the product design, but it changed the business completely, and it's changed sometimes the entire industry. And this is the revolution which is there. And in the quality domain, how are we going to handle this? How are we going to predict this? And how are we going to create them that our continuity sustains beyond what we have today? Oftentimes we look at the normal curve and people talked about it, people talk about the capability, and you look at the center part and say as close to the center and as less a deviation. In the innovation world, it is the deviation that matters. It is the change that is important. Outliers are the ones that actually create the thing. In the VUCA world, you have to have those outliers, and the outliers will give you. The question is, if consistency focused processes drive the uniqueness, can they also drive creativity? And can creativity be a process? Can it be replicable? Can it be learnable? Can it be transferable? And is there a contradiction between the creativity on one side and consistency on the other side? Let me, friends, again show you one more video, and maybe that might be the last one that I'll show you, or maybe one depending on the time, but let me show you this. Best to learn about creativity from artists and see how we can take it to the scientists. Is there a contradiction? Let me explain this from 2 separate facets. Are they opposite? Let's look. Artist's way of looking at this is different thoughts that he has, and the person really looks at what's the end result the person wants to look at it and starts creating a kind of a visual as to, okay, this is how I'm going to go from here, and therefore I need to start from here. You look at an engineer from quality, he will or she will look at it this way: first step, second step, third step, fourth step, fifth step. This is the process view of looking at it. Actually, both of them are only partial. The true way in which this happens is this, that you start with a thought, get back to some actions, thought with a thought again, get back to some actions, and from thought, actions, thought, actions, thought, actions. This is the sequence that creates a thing. If you look at those steps which are there, they are repeatable, trainable, transferable, and you can create people who can do those steps. But the thoughts that are required are also repeatable, and you can transfer them. It is the mixing of the thoughts and the facts that creates a process. So the process flow for creativity is not only boxes. The process flow of creativity has got bubbles and boxes, bubbles and boxes, bubbles and boxes. I'll just put this same picture in a slightly different way, and I'll say that all the thoughts are at the top and all the actions are at the bottom. When you put it together, this is what Professor Shoji Shiba says as moving between the level of thought to the level of fact, and level of fact to the level of thought. And so this continuous movement between level of thought to the level of fact is the root of creativity. And my sense is that if the future leaders of the quality need to master this, it is this process that the scientists use, this is this process that the creators use, and this is this process which is really required for discovery. I have the expert sitting in front of me, Mr. Deshmukh, who is the master of what is called the 5-step discovery process. The essence of the FSDP is actually this, right? So in one way you look at it, all boxes is what we call as process, all bubbles is what we call as artists, but actually there's a bubbles, boxes, bubbles, boxes, bubbles, boxes, and that's what creativity is all about, right? You look at the Lego blocks the child plays, and you will understand that the child picks up the blocks which are constant but connects them in a way in which the child finds it interesting. And using the same Lego block, the child can create millions of models and millions of models. So in my sense, as I was telling you, it's my grandson, my granddaughter who are the teachers for me for the quality of the future, rather than just my grandfather who only inspired me for this whole thing. So I am deeply indebted to my grandchildren for doing this. But this in an essence is what is the kind of a synthesis of this thing. So I told you already, Shiba's way of doing it is the level of thought, level of fact. There are experts who understand that, and this is basically the movement to have a creative process. So understanding breakthrough as a skill involves unearthing the patterns of repeatability that exist, and under the envelope of that you really get a creativity, bubbles and boxes. Bubbles will slowly become boxes, and that is how the machines will take over those creative elements. But the boxes will become bubbles, and that is so how the humans will take it over from machine and say it is not machines, but it is humans who will dictate. The bubbles and the boxes and the bubbles and the boxes will keep changing, and this is how the world as I see will evolve, and the humans will never lose against the machines because at the end of the day it is our choice as to how we're going to program that machine. These are the inherent cycles of creative process, repetitive elements, and all of that thing, right? So the integration and the holistic synthesis is a more evolved form of the quality discipline. Quality discipline doesn't change. The essence of the creativity and the quality also applies to business excellence, strategy, and process of sustenance, what is called the daily management, and the process of policy, which is at the strategic level for breakthroughs and improvements. It's basically the same thing that comes up again and again, right? I'm not going to be boring you with a lot of perspectives. It is interconnected, it is co-created, information age, information transfer. Consistency on its own is not enough in the volatile, uncertain, and complex world. We need creativity and breakthrough, which also we can kind of evolve from the fundamentals of quality. And the leaders must imbibe the 3 eyes of Buddha. That, in a nutshell, is what I understand as quality. And it is important to look at this thing. But let me just play only one video, and then I'll close this to say how, we understand the quality as I see it now. Is it giraffe? Is it elephant? It's a giraffe, it's elephant. But there are many other ways of looking at it. It is the bundle of jumbled wires. Can you see that? It is the bundle of wires bent with a 3D machine in a particular way that can create a shape this way in one and that way in another one. It is a sculpture from an artist's point of view. The truth of the world is there are many truths. If you understand the many truths, I think we'll be able to understand the world that is coming. So quality, my friends, as I understand from Shiba, I understand from Dr. Deming, and I understand from various other people, and plus a lot of experience that I have, is this way of understanding it as elephant, giraffe, wires, and sculpture. All of that is only one. And that, my friends, is what I thought that I will give it to you as my essence of what I understand as quality. Okay? So, in closing, quality and breakthrough in the experience economy in the digital area is my own transformation. The essence has not changed fundamentally, and yet the strategic perspective of quality is dramatically changing. And if you try to hold the old perspective and try to fit the new technology in the old perspective, you're not going to be able to get some of the answers. And so let's have the highest respect for the humans, their intelligence and their emotions as we pursue the machines and the technologies and things of this kind. Thank you very much. Thank you ISQ for this. Thank you Godrej, and thank you VLFM, and thank you CII. Thank you very much for your...
It is very difficult to handle a session post-lunch, and the same way just before lunch. I think he had this experience and made a very breakthrough presentation today and kept all of us live. It was a wonderful presentation, sir. Thank you so much. A lot of insights. May I invite our senior ISQ member and the past president of Bangalore, Mr. Ved Prakash, to honor Mr. Sunderraman.